Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So today I have a discussion for you guys that's actually a request from an audience member here on the Video Game Fight School channel. And it's about basically Warner Brothers Games Montreal's second game that's actually in kind of development or maybe conceptualization phases. Now, we don't really know. Now, the audience member has basically asked me to make this video basically a while ago, but one of the reasons I've delayed is I actually have made this video talking about this, but it was a long time ago, and I had some pertinent information in that video, but on checking my videos, I can't find it. Maybe I titled it something, but I just can't track it down. Luckily, I was able to track down some more information from publications that I feel will basically serve to help you kind of visualize what I'm talking about. So before I jump into the video, if you enjoy the content, you know what to do, like or subscribe. It'll be really helpful. All right, let's jump in. So a few years ago, one of the senior developers in Warner Brothers Games Montreal was on a podcast, and he confirmed on that podcast that Warner Brothers Games Montreal was working on two DC-based comics, DC Comics-based video games. Sorry, I mixed my words up there. The name of the podcast is called Humans of Gaming Podcast, and this was actually in 2018. So not necessarily too long ago when he said that. Now, for those of you who are basically in the loop, you've heard of this interview. Some of you may have listened to it. I listened to the entire podcast myself, and so you can even track it down and listen to that episode. And that was really interesting because in 2018, where was the community? We had no confirmation of anything coming from them. In fact, there were only rumors of a Damian Wayne game that had been canceled, all kinds of different stuff. And so it was really big for the community to hear about this stuff. Now, I genuinely think that, what they're going to be making, yes, be it a DC Comics game, could be related to Gotham Knights or maybe not. But it's really nice that we actually have basically a filter to kind of help us narrow down what potential game they might be working on. Now, before I jump into what this potential game might be, let's go ahead and basically envision what studios do in their game development processes. Now, when a game development studio is working on a game or supporting the game after they've published it, they usually will have a team of individuals that start to build up another concept, maybe a sequel, maybe a concept that they've been wanting to pursue, because if that concept was to flesh out and become really good, or maybe they pitch it to their publishers or they pitch it to their investors and they say, let's go ahead, they want to have a good framework in place. So whatever this DC-based game he must have been talking about that is not Gotham Knights, it's probably still right now in a conceptualization phase and being built up from the ground. And more than likely, it seemed like the way he actually confirmed it must have gotten the green light. But with all of the studio's manpower or, workforce, I think they may have channeled that to be able to get the Gotham Knights game released. And then immediately the Gotham Knights game goes out, they're going to put a team on supporting Gotham Knights. And then basically almost immediately, they're getting a team fully fleshed out to work around this second game. In fact, I think on the Arkham Gaming channel, there was basically a publication there that, showed some job openings about some people who wanted to, who they were wanting in the studio that had specific, qualifications to be able to lead a team to develop a new IP. So I think those two things kind of correlate basically with one another. Now, the big question is, what is this game? I've seen a lot of hypotheses. I've seen Superman. I think the Arkham Gaming channel mentioned Superman. I've even seen from some of you here in the community a Teen Titans game because of the Justice League reference that was actually put in Gotham Knights. I know many may have overlooked it. Some people said it's not really a big deal, but you never know. It might be a big, huge, gigantic, Easter egg that's basically staring us right in the face, and we may just not necessarily envision it. Or maybe something like a Flash, Wonder Woman, or another game that has to take something from one of the DC universes and put in place. Nobody saw a Suicide Squad game really coming. I mean, we had envisioned that Rocksteady was going to be doing, kind of a Superman game or a Justice League game, but instead what we got was a reverse Justice League game, but with the Suicide Squad on the forefront. So it's very difficult to be able to tell, but if we were to narrow it down, we can say that basically Rocksteady is not making a Superman, based game. There is a Superman theme to it, yes. They literally put him on the cover of the game, and then they threw him in the reveal trailer. So yeah, they really wanted to show us, we got Superman here, right? But at the end of the day, I think we can also, look and say, okay, is Warner Brothers' story going to continue from the Gotham Knights story, or is it going to intersect with the Rocksteady Games story? So these are huge questions that we must answer. Now, they've done different collaborations in a sense together, but they may be on their own path right now. And one really interesting thing, though, that they probably will try to do is not necessarily, step on each other's toes in a sense. Now, let's look at another studio that also makes DC-based games, but in a different context, and that's basically NetherRealm Studios. They made the Injustice, fighting games. But if you watch those games, they necessarily kind of leave a lot of the thick themes that the other Batman and the Arkham studios basically cover. And so if you even think about it, I think Rocksteady's taking their own direction doesn't really intersect in a contradictory way with the Injustice narrative. If anything, it complements it. So if there's anything that I think Warner Brothers Games Montreal is going to do, is to find a way to complement that narrative. And they can tell the story from whichever direction they want. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it has to be a continuation. It could be a complementary, other narrative or other universe type game that will be centered around Superman or centered around one of the other DC heroes in that sense. And potentially a DC hero that a lot of people have been asking for, or one that could take us by surprise and really, make interest really, really high. I mean, a lot of content creators in the community have talked about, video games they would like to see. I personally would like to see a game around the Green Arrow. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but hey, that's a far stretch in my opinion. And then followed by that, I think the more likely conclusion that we can come up with is they're probably going to be making a game that probably stems and continues from the Gotham Knights story, but would then showcase even those DC heroes, but also appealing to the fans that they're making Gotham Knights for. So what I mean by that is the Arkham games and the community that played those games are a community of gamers that right now their interests have basically in a sense evolved. I genuinely think that Gotham Knights is channeled to a much younger audience. Now, when I say younger, for those of you who are on this channel, I'm not like, ancient old, but I am basically not in the place where if they were making a Teen Titans game, it's going to make me excited. That's not my, I would say that's not something that will make me tick, but I know that many people in the Arkham and Gotham Knights community will be elated if they announce the Teen Titans game. And I think that might be what they're working on, where we're going to see people like the new or the representation of Nightwing and Robin and Jason Todd and, even the Batgirl basically see their generation show up in a video game, but this time with other superheroes in the mix. And so this is where I think this might be going. And I think Gotham Knights may judge how that game is executed, if you get what I mean. And when I say may judge how the game is executed, I mean it may be if Gotham Knights does its own very soft games as a service or co-op multiplayer, whatever you want to call it, model, and that works, they might be willing to take a bigger step in that direction, because the Teen Titans are also a very unique set of heroes. So it's really early right now to be able to, talk about what we think this project might be. I mean, just from watching a lot of interviews with game developers out there, I think it's really interesting to see, how many of them have, talked about the process of them making games. I mean, I remember watching just the documentary the other day of Jedi Fallen Order, how Respawn, they were supporting Titanfall. They just released Titanfall 2, basically, right? And then next thing you know, they already had a team that they hired somebody for, the game director, Stig, I think his name's Stig Asmussen, and they said, hey, yo, put together a team to make a melee-based game. And he was doing that. Next thing you know, they just call him and say, yo, the melee-based game that you guys were working on, you can keep working on it, but we got an opportunity to make a Star Wars game. Do you guys want to make a Star Wars game? And they were like, yeah. So that's how they basically, kicked off that project. And so that project was a number of years in the making. So even if this game might be in development and it's been approved by Warner Brothers Games, I don't think we're going to see it for a very good amount of time. And still, we don't even know what date Gotham Knights is coming out. So My worry is just for Gotham Knights to come out in 2021, and then we can take a sigh of relief. So I really enjoyed, making this video. I really enjoyed talking about this. It really did bring up some really nice memories, and it has stirred up a lot of excitement too in the community to start thinking about it. But I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think that it is a Superman game, or do you think it's a Teen Titans game, or do you even think it's something way out there that we haven't even talked about so far? Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys so much. Hopefully we'll see in another video. Peace out.